Hello and welcome to the Failsfe Fitness Golf Show, episode number 30, the big 3-0, big milestone in a lot of people's lives. Not a very big one in this show. We've been going for over a year, and this is the second iteration of the show in its second year. Obviously, first year we were more fitness based with a little bit of golf on the end. Now we're fitness and nutrition based purely on golf. If you do like the show, please like, subscribe, share. The more people that listen, the more people that get to hear what I've got to say, what is going on in the world of golf, and use the tips and tricks I'm about to give you in this very podcast to help you with your game. It's been a very tumultuous week, I think, in the world of golf. There's quite a bit to get into. So, as always, Michael Joshua, I'm here to help you. All the links in the description below. You've got a one for my protein and bulk powders. There's my link tree too, which will also take you to my website, the blog site, and all good things like that. We're going to get straight into what I've been up to this week. It's been an infuriating week, but also a rewarding week. Few new clients have come along. We've worked on a few very familiar problems and a couple of new ones. One I will talk about at the end of this little rant I'm going to have in a little while. I've dealt with beginners this week, starting the game from afresh, and I've dealt with someone who's been working feverishly behind the scenes on other projects and been unable to play a lot of golf, come back, and we got them striking the ball okay. When you're not playing from one month to the next, it's very difficult to come back to. Golf is a very big sport in terms of building a feel, building muscle memory, building momentum as you go through the season. I think my momentum has definitely gone from bad to okay to worse to got better. But my handicap has still gone up to 13.9 this year. From 11.3 as it was at the start, 2.6 shots worse. But that is because, again, ladies and gents, I'm not having a very good year when it comes down to consistency. And that's down to lack of practice time. And I have chopped and changed my sets of golf clubs. I put Callies in the bag at the start of the year. I've taken them out and put the TaylorMade racks back in. I've taken them out, and this very day I'm recording this, I actually played with a set of Pinhawk single length irons, graphite shafts. I'm not a fan. My wife has got a set of Cobra single length irons. I can stand on a range on a launch monitor and I can hit 6-iron to pitching wedge and get different results. With these Pinhawks, however, 5 and 6-iron wanted to go about 160, 7 and 8-iron wanted to go about 145, 150. 8 and 9-iron wanted to go about 120. Pitching wedge would either go 120 or 100 yards. There's no flat out, like full shot. It would either come out super low or super high, and that would take 20 yards off it. And when you don't know which one's going to do what, that's a problem. So yeah, they'll be on eBay very soon. So look out for a set of single length. I think for beginners they'll be perfect. I think beginners won't really notice the difference too much. There's a 5-degree loft difference between each club. Obviously no length difference, apart from the fact that 5 and 6-iron feel short. 7-iron's quite long. They feel the length of a 6-iron, not the length of a 7-iron, if I'm honest. They're about an inch longer than they probably need to be. For me, personally, I can't get the most out of them, and it's horrible. But dealing with beginners, I think single length irons are a great idea for a beginner set. They are very expensive. These will be They'll be 150 quid on eBay by now, as of the weekend. But yeah, it's it's tough being a beginner. It's tough starting from the very basics of just getting club on ball. When we build some speed as a beginner, the perpetual motion of teaching people is okay. So we've got you're clipping the ball away, wedges and that are going 50, 60, 70 yards. You've got two or three clubs that are going over 100. You've got a hybrid or so that's going 120, 130, maybe even 150. Drivers going 120 to 180, depending on how you're striking it when you start, whatever. Those are low and high end numbers in terms of what I think is capable of being played. And you want to get a bit better, so you want to get a bit faster, like getting speed. So you go in the gym, you do the exercise, you buy a swing speed stick like I did. And this perpetual cycle of finding a strike and then finding the direction and then adding the speed. Finding the strike, finding the direction, adding the speed, finding the strike, fixing the direction, adding the speed. It's this perpetual roller coaster where you add more speed, you lose the strike. You lose the strike, you lose the direction. You lose the direction, you take some speed off. And then you get a bit more confident, you add a bit more speed, etc., etc. And it's a perpetual thing that every golfer has to go through until they level out to, okay, that's where I'm at. I know I can swing a golf club at about 105 to 108 miles an hour flat out. That's me out of my socks, out of my boots. But I probably cruise at around 95, 96 miles an hour with the driver. Because that finds fairway gives me enough distance, somewhere between 220 and 230, or 220 and 250, depending on strike, especially in the summer. And it's enough to get me around a golf course quite happily, me being happy with my golf. My quest for distance of the last 3 years means my quest for distance is not ended, but it's not exactly finished. I know there's probably a little bit more speed in me. I just don't want to add it. And this is where every beginner golfer they want to add. Some people want to, when you can swing them at a tee, they're fine. As soon as you put a golf ball in front of them, you see them add 5, 10, 15 miles an hour. They want to annihilate the golf ball like it's just insulted their mother. That's just, patience is a virtue, and patience in golf is rewarded. So yeah, teaching this week has been both rewarding and completely horrifying. I was nearly sick then. That was, yeah. So rewarding the beginners has been great, but when you've got someone who swings a 5 iron at 95, 96 miles an hour, who went to American Golf, this nice young person in American Golf convinced them that from a mat on this simulator, on this mat, where the club's being allowed to bounce through the ball and you're getting away with it, turf interaction does non-existent at all. They were convinced to part with £450 for a set of golf clubs that are regular flex Project X shafts, and they're in a Callaway Maverick game improvement head. I know the Mavericks they do the Maverick Pro, which is a decent, mid-range, mid-handicap set. Yes, the golfers, they've seen the golfers handicap, which is like 34, but he swings like a tour pro, 125 mile an hour and a driver, 95 mile an hour with a 5 iron. He's got a lot of speed, and the tungsten weighting, heel and toe in those Mavericks are killing his game. So when he swings full pelt, he can hit a toe strike and it's 70 yards left. He can hit a heel strike, it's 60 yards right. He slows it down from 95 miles an hour to about 80 miles an hour, 80, 85 miles an hour. Takes 10 mile an hour off his swing, hits it out the middle, still hits it a mile, but he's not living up to his full potential. And it's the full potential everybody wants to get out of their clubs. And American Golf have sold him these clubs, and I'm unconvinced that they're even fitted properly for him. They're just trying to get rid of a set of golf clubs that are 3 years old now that are just lying about. So I apologize for their bad service. And then again today, as I record this podcast, spoke to a new client about their putter grip. Big strapping gentleman, retired, enjoying golf, had an old leather tour wrap, had it for donkeys on his putter. Some complete numpty hasn't looked at the size of his hands, hasn't considered what putting this old round circular tour grip that was on it, hasn't considered what a flat front pencil superstroke grip is going to do to their putting stroke. And they've come to me in anguish, the fact that they can hit greens in 2 shots, 3 shots, and then they're 3 and 4 putting. But it's only been since this grip change. And I think that's to everybody out there in this industry. If you're telling people that they need to do something, back it up with science, test it. Yes, in the bay, this lad may not have given it the full beans, and on a mat, he's getting away with it. But ask him, do 10 shots flat out, 10 shots at cruising speed, and see where you land. I know you probably don't have enough time for that, but make the time. You want to make the money, make the time for your clients, make the time for the people. Don't just go, that grip's knackered, we're going to put this one on, with no justification. I asked the guy who bought the golf clubs about their justification. There wasn't any. I was just hitting them well in the bay. Longer than the new ones, the old ones? A little bit. About half a club. But the old clubs were a half inch or an inch shorter than the Mavericks, and they didn't have all the help. And he was playing reasonably well with them. Obviously, he struggled to chip and putt. A lot of people do. So, how trustworthy are American Golf? How trustworthy are a Dick's Sporting Goods? How trustworthy are some, I'm not going to say all, but some golf club PGA pros who are pushing fittings on their customers a year in, year out, and pushing clubs on you just to make a profit? Be wary, and I will get into that subject. I think I need to go back through a fitting, which I may do next week, might be the week after. I will give you the tips on how to prepare and how to go through a fitting. Ask the right questions and be knowledgeable and feel knowledgeable about your swing before you go in, during and after. But yeah, American Golf strike again twice, and it's really annoyed me that I've now got 2 clients that have got clubs and a putting grip that just don't suit them because they can't be asked to check it. It's awful. Right, rant over, I think. That's been my week. Dealing with that has been fun. Where are the big boys and girls playing this week? Well, obviously, if you're on the LPGA and LET Tour, it will be at Paris and Le Golf National for the Olympics. Obviously, this week was the men's. We'll get into that in a little bit. But PGA Tour resumes with the Wyndham Championship, and that is in New York. No Live, no DP, and no LET or LPGA this week. Obviously, Olympics is on. I think most of those return the week after. Getting into the news, as I mentioned, Olympics. Guess who won? Yes, it was our world number one, Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Shufflefeet wins yet another event and a gold medal to add to his massive range of titles this year. You know, Scotty has been unbelievable. What he's doing in terms of the game, showing someone with a completely different golf swing and how he performs is fantastic. And it just goes to show you don't have to have a pretty golf swing to be a winner. So well done, Scotty Scheffler. Tommy Fleetwood, unfortunately, was a close second. I don't think he's quite realised what that means in terms of the Olympics and the sport. So I know last week I had a dig at why are professional athletes playing the Olympics, and I still believe that it shouldn't be the top tour pros playing at the Olympics. It should be elite level amateurs or some kind of qualification from an elite level amateur. I think these guys have enough plaudits without adding Olympic gold medals to their list. And when the qualification is so sporadic, you could be world number one, you could be world number 9,064 because you're from Bolivia and you play golf, and you go. I just don't. Yeah, I think if there's a there should be a standard qualification thing, and that's it. End of story. Of course, third place in the Olympics was Hideki Matsuyama, one of my favourites. I picked him a couple of years ago to win the Masters at 75 to 1, and I was very, very happy about that. But yeah, Scotty shot a 9 under 62 at Le Golf National to size through the pack, as he often does on a Sunday, to beat Tommy Fleetwood by one shot, with Hideki Matsuyama being one shot behind him. The victory for Scheffler makes it back-to-back gold medals for the United States in the men's Olympic golf competition following Xander Schauffele's triumph in Tokyo 3 years ago. And look how Xander's kicked on now, 2 majors this year. And obviously bonus, Rory McIlroy was tied 5th with Jon Rahm. Rahm didn't perform. He had the lead on a couple of occasions and just let it slip. It didn't turn up on Sunday at all. But that seems to be Jon Rahm's game at the minute. He's not turning up to play. Since he's gone to live, he's not looked the same player. And it's been a little bit disappointing to watch. And speaking of angry Irishmen, Rory McIlroy laments the PGA Tour and Liv's shit show, is what he actually put it as. Despite missing out on chance for gold in Le Paris National, McIlroy had only positive things to say about his first Olympic experience representing Ireland. Rory was one off the lead after a stirring Sunday charge, but his hopes found a watery grave with a wedge in his hand from the middle of the 15th fairway. However, after a week in Tokyo's sterile COVID games, McIlroy welcomed what he described as the purest form of competition as fans came to support the event in their thousands. He said it's been amazing. We were talking about it out there, and Nico Højgaard reckons it's the best tournament he's ever been involved in, and he's played in a Ryder Cup. I still think the Ryder Cup is the best tournament we have in our game, pure competition, but I do think this has the potential to be right up there with it. Think of how much of a shit show, his words, not mine, the game of golf is right now. And then think about the two tournaments that might be the purest form of competition in our sport, talking about the Olympic competition and the Ryder Cup. Um, he's made no secret of his frustration over the delays during prolonged negotiations between the PGA Tour and the Live League, with no end in sight for an agreement between the warring factions. And I feel like golf's not really any closer than what it was 3 years ago to solving its issues. OWGR have dropped Live Golf and said that it's impossible to judge, and the PIF have got a lot of money. That money should be used for good in golf, and I agree with that. I agree with what Rory said, that that money should be used for good in the game of golf. But the American consortium, the Fenway consortium that took over the PGA Tour, don't seem too interested or too obliging to take on board that 600 billion that they may or may not have. And if they can do some good, they can do some good. But, it's an interesting little conversation that Rory had about competition. I mean, he's had his own personal problems recently with his divorce from Erica Stahl, and then it's not a divorce, and then they're back together, and blah, 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 blah. He hasn't played on the PG Tour for 2 or 3 weeks now either, since the Open. So, yeah, Rory's got a lot on his mind. I think when he left the policy board last year, I think there was a lot going on. And when they said, oh, they're going talks with Liv, I think he felt like he was put on a pedestal and then hung out to dry. And I agree with that. He wanted back on that policy board, and even Tiger Woods said no. So I don't know what Rory has done or will have done to upset so many people on that policy board, but yeah, it's pretty. It must have been something pretty bad. What do you think? Do you think, I still don't think a professional should be playing at the Olympics. And what do you make of, PGA Tour and Live? Should PGA Tour just take the money from the PIF and use it for good in the sport? Why not? I mean, we're all being told EV cars are good for the planet, yet there's hundreds and thousands being scrapped every day because the batteries are dead, because no one's buying them. We can't charge them anyway. You can't go on long journeys. You've got to plan 2 or 3 days ahead. If I want to drive from where I live in the Midlands up to Scotland, it's going to take me 2 days of stopping, charging, stopping, charging, stopping, spending money that I didn't need to spend money on. And if I'm charging on motorway service stations, I'm probably paying £60 to £80 per charge. That's 160 quid to get there, 160 quid to get back. I will use less in diesel or petrol every day of the week. And I can do it in pretty much one-stop journey. That's going to take me about 5 minutes to fill. Whereas if I do it in an EV, it's going to take me 2 days. I'm probably going to have to stay overnight somewhere or sleep in my car, which isn't good for anybody. I think it's just EVs are a big scam, and people thought Live was a big scam, but the PIF have got a lot of money. They want to spend that money on the tour. They want to spend that money in golf. So let's just let them spend the money. Let them do good for the sport that we all love. That's my opinion. That's enough for me. I've ranted enough today, haven't I? You can tell the mood I've been in this week. Seeing some of the disgusting things that certain people are doing in this industry. Right, tip of the week, last bit, we'll get this done. and I'll get out of your ears, and you can come back next week and tell me how crap the podcast is. I'm kidding. I know it's crap. I just like doing it. Tip of the week. Something again that's come up a lot in lessons over the last couple of weeks. Chipping around greens. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Lee Trevino method works. Taking less loft the closer you are to the green, the closer you are to a pin, hitting it like a putt to carry the fringe, which I know at the golf club I'm proudly a part of at Himley. Our fringes aren't exactly well manicured. They can be a little bit unpredictable. So hitting that 8 iron, hitting that 9 iron, even hitting that 7 iron as a putter off the toe to get it rolling towards the hole like a putt is much more beneficial than taking out a 50 or 50 degree or 60 degree wedge, trying to fly it there like you're Phil Mickelson with check spin, and you blade it through the green and take out two of your playing partners who now have got a big whelk on their front of their shins because you've just knifed it through the green. So again, easy way. Take your 6 iron to 9 iron, stand it up on the toe, go down the grip. When I say stand it up, I mean lift the heel off the ground. The bit where the shaft is attached to that club head, lift it up so it's stood on the end of the club, the toe end of the club. Go down that grip and then hit that like a putt, like you would putt it. Hit it exactly the same. The same speed, the same power, hit it like a putt. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. It might not be a 9 iron, it could be a 7 iron. Either one, work your way through 7, 8, 9 iron, hit it, and then you will get yourself closer to get yourself up and down from inside that 5 to 15 yard range. And that once you go beyond 15 or 20 yards, then we can think about taking a little bit more loft, whether it be pitching wedge, gap wedge, or even a chipper. I'm not offended by a chipper. I think chippers are a very, very good. If you struggle around greens, putting a chipper in the bag is not a cure-all, and it's certainly not going to fix the issues you have with your game. But it's another tool in addition to what you can use to help you with your game if you struggle with it. So yes, use that tip. That's your tip of the week. It's a very quick podcast this week. That tip should get you around a golf course, get you up and down, get you playing a little bit better, and get you not feeling stressed when you're stood over the golf ball. That's the worst thing you want to be, especially on a 10 or 15 yard chip where for me, it's quite a rotational shot. I'm not trying to use my hands, I'm just trying to use the loft on the club and I'm turning with my chest. I'm literally controlling it like a putt with my chest. I don't want to be flicking at it. I don't want to be laying it off. I just want to be turning with my chest, putting the club through the ball like a putt and ending up with a decent or semi-decent result. So yeah, put that into play, see how you get on. Everybody have a great week. Don't forget, use all the links in the description. Bulk powders, my protein, my link tree as well, to go and look at the blog and the website and book, etc., etc., etc. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you in episode 31. Bye bye.